All right. And then that's all yours, Alyssa.
Alrighty. Welcome everyone. For those of you who are joining us from overseas, I know this is a very late event for you, so I appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Today we're going to be talking about learning outside of the classroom, specifically within the context of our higher education student affairs master's program. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'll tell you a little bit about our program, and then I'm going to go through some different opportunities and how you can use them to maximize your experience within this master's program. I'm going to leave some time at the end for questions, but please feel free to utilize the chat along the way. If you want to, jot your thought down so you don't forget it, we'll come to the questions at the end. So as I mentioned, actually, I don't think I mentioned, my name is Alyssa Steinborn. I use she, her pronouns. I am the academic advisement coordinator for the Educational Leadership and Policy program within the Graduate School of Education at the University of Buffalo. So lots of words, lots of letters. But essentially, my role is to be the student facing advisor for all things related to your degree and your ability to move through the degree requirements as successfully as possible so that you're able to leave UB with a diploma and hopefully a lot of really great experience, both within the classroom and without the classroom. And then, Juvi, do you want to take a second just to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Duvi Sanchez. I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment for the Graduate School of Education's Office of Admission. Long, just like Alyssa's, but essentially, I just help you through your application process into the HESA program. So if you ever have any questions about the actual application or application requirements or materials, that would be me. So feel free to put any questions related to that in the chat as well, and we can answer them at the end after Alyssa's presentation.
Yeah, so Doobie and I are a nice little tag team. Doobie is going to be your point of contact before you're admitted to the program. We're in the process of being admitted to the program. And then I will help kind of transition you into the program and be your point of contact once you're admitted and active in the program. So, as I mentioned, a little bit about our program in general, for those of you that might be interested but are still trying to figure out if this might be the right fit for you. So our program is in higher education and student affairs. So we do a lot of focus on student development, multicultural competence, and wellness within the context of the student experience on college campuses. So it's really designed for folks who are looking to be practitioners on a college campus and work with students or work to enhance the student experience at either 2 or 4 year schools, private, public, across the country. We have a wide ranging alumni, and we do a lot to make sure that our students are set up after they graduate to be successful no matter what functional area or college they end up working at in the future. So one of the things that we really emphasize is this idea of experiential learning. I do want to note that it's not required for you to participate in any kind of graduate assistantship or even an internship to be admitted into the program or to continuously enroll in the program. It is secondary. However, it is a highly beneficial part of the overall experience in the HESA program, because it allows you to kind of combine that theory to practice and see what you're learning in the classroom playing out in real time with students on the college campus. And then, as I mentioned, one of the nice things is we do have a very strong alumni network. We have a lot of alumni that are in both the Buffalo area as well as the New York State and then across the country at large. And we also have great affiliations with some professional organizations to help students network, attend conferences, and be able to learn not just from the faculty that are part of the program here at UB, but from professionals and scholars of the field across the country. So, what I'm going to take some time to do is talk to you about some of the key types of experiential learning opportunities that you may encounter during your time in the HESA program. As I mentioned, none of these are required for admission or enrollment, but they will enhance your classroom experience. Your academics should always be your top priority. You are coming to UB to get a degree. However, if you are able to, it's a great opportunity to be an addition to your program as well as help you grow the world or grow the knowledge in the world of higher education, again, from a more practical standpoint. So, one of the main ways that students engage in experiential learning is through a graduate assistantship or a GA, which is a paraprofessional position within the higher education field. Typically, that's about 20 hours of work per week in a specific office on campus. GAs work very closely with the professional staff to execute a lot of project management. They may supervise undergraduate students, such as RAs or student assistants. They may assist with or even take the lead on event planning and helping to bring some of the UB key events throughout the semester to life for the student body. And then they also engage in a lot of assessment and program analysis and continuously reflect on what went well, what maybe needs to change for future generations, as well as making sure that the programs are not just fun, but also beneficial to the development of students. So each year, as a part of the HESA admissions process, we do offer a variety of open positions that we know with our student life partners that will become available for the in this case, 26-27 school year. So this list that I have on the screen is not necessarily the list of available positions. This is just an example of the many different types of positions that have been available, I would say, over the last 5 years. They come through a rotation. Some of them are available kind of every other year because it's sort of preferred that students remain in their GA-ship for both years of the program if possible, in order to kind of help with continuity as well as deepen that development of the position and the skills. But you can see from this list, there are a variety of different types of positions and different type of functions that you could be doing as a GA. So anything from working in our undergraduate office of admissions, helping with event planning or project management in that way, working with the student tutors in the tutoring and academic success department, some of the more collegiately like fun things like student engagement. So they do a lot of high impact events for our students through Pride and Traditions. So things like our opening weekend. We do a huge interlocking UB student picture where students line up in the shape of our logo and they take a big aerial picture. It's an incredible experience, and that's typically organized and run by one of the GAs. So a lot of different opportunities. So no matter what functional area you might be interested in, or if there's a functional area you've always been curious about, usually we make the final list of open positions for the next academic year available in early January. So you'll be able to review that list and see if there's any that you'd be interested in applying for. And then that process works the same way any job process would work. You would apply, the office would consider your application, and then we would host an interview process in order to find a successful candidate for each one of those open positions. So some of the key benefits of working as a graduate assistant is allowing you, again, to get that feel for the day-to-day workings of a student affairs office as a professional. One of the things that I think is really, that I'm really proud of about our relationship with our student life partners is that our GAs are treated like professionals. You are given a lot of responsibility and opportunity to take ownership over the jobs that you do, the tasks that you perform, and the events that you may be leading. That's something that when you go eventually to professional job interviews, you can say, I wasn't just sitting at a desk and answering phones. I was hands in, actually, organizing and giving direction to 100+ volunteers, right? Those are key examples that you can use when you start to translate your work and classroom experience into that job search post-graduation employment. And I think that it gives our graduates a lot of confidence as well moving into their first professional role because they are very much used to operating in a professional manner. And it helps to lessen a little bit of that imposter syndrome after graduation that, you've already built a strong foundation of professional skills within student affairs. It also allows you to create a very deep mentorship relationship with the staff in your office. So, as I mentioned, the goal is for GAs to work with their office for 2 years for the entirety of their program whenever possible. There is an opportunity to switch if it's really not a good fit. But as I mentioned, our students are treated like professionals, and that allows the staff to build these great mentorship relationships where you can learn from working professionals, network with working professionals, and kind of learn the tools of the trade and figure out maybe what their journey through their schooling to professional experience was to help you navigate your own. I still keep in contact with a lot of the folks that I mentored with when I was here, and I know Doobie is the same with her mentors from her program. We both graduated with a version of this degree, and so it's definitely something that has maintained over a decade, which I can't believe is real. um, it's also nice to take what you're learning in a classroom setting and see it playing out in front of you within the college experience of the students of UB. It really helps to solidify some of those things that you talk about and take some of those abstract thoughts of, environmental theory or organizational structure and watch it happen so that it kind of solidifies what it means to have this specific approach, or, oh, this is what this theorist meant when they were, talking about multicultural competence. I've seen this play out in my work in the Intercultural and Diversity Center. So it definitely helps to deepen some of those conversations that you have in class. And then in turn, it allows you to make your work more intentional because you have that theory background to apply to the things that you're doing day to day. And then, obviously, they are usually paid. There is, for most of them, a set stipend amount that will be included in that packet that you get in the beginning of the year, should you choose to apply to the program. Each one ranges a little bit depending on the office and what they have available. Excuse me. And then many of them do include some form of tuition assistance as well, which can be very helpful for students to offset the cost of attending a graduate program. But while GA-ships are definitely one of the more common and probably the most thought of opportunity, there are also other opportunities as well in order to heighten your experience and maybe even broaden it outside of what might just be, one GA-ship. So in students' second year, particularly, a lot of them will seek out an additional internship to broaden their experience in different functional areas. So, for example, if you are a GA in the student conduct office, but you're really interested in diversity work, you might be able to take up a position as an intern within the Intercultural and Diversity Center for less hours, usually about 10 per week, to broaden your skill set and to learn from a different functional area, right? Because even though everyone would be working on a college campus, the priorities, the values, and the way those are expressed can differ from office to office. And so it's a really great opportunity to learn a little bit more about the way different offices function, learn maybe a different supervisory style from another professional on campus, and then again, add to your resume to be able to showcase more things that you've done during your program here. So those graduate internships will be a little bit less immersive in the sense that because you're there less hours a week, you'll probably play more of a supporting role. A lot of them are marketing based, and sometimes offices will hire interns to work on a very specific project that they want to have someone dedicated to, but none of their current staff has time. So those might be the types of internships that you see come available. So, as I mentioned, one of the key ways that students do this is in their second year. They may find one at a different UB office. They may search out other local campuses. We have a lot of colleges in the Buffalo area. And so it's a great opportunity to maybe explore a 2-year college or a private versus public environment. But then there's also opportunities for students to work maybe in educational nonprofits or to work as a research assistant with a faculty member. Um, and then another main way that students engage in an internship experience is through summer. So in between the spring of your first year and the fall of your second year, a lot of students will participate in a summer internship. The two main ways that students do this, there's two organizations, Akuhuai, which is very housing focused, so summer housing programs at colleges across the country, and then NODA, which is an orientation organization that hires on summer interns to help lead their orientation staffs through the summer. So both of those are very popular. You'll hear a lot of the second years, if you were to join us next fall, you'll hear a lot of the second years talking about their summer experiences. Again, not required, but a very common thing that a lot of students seek out, since we don't have any required classwork in the summers. So it's a great way to broaden your experiences, maybe make a little bit of extra money, and travel potentially if there was an area of the country you wanted to explore. I personally did mine in California. It was a really great experience to be able to see a different literal side of the country and be able to get some experience in a functional area that I had never done, which was housing. But those who want to stay in Buffalo, we've also had students who have sought out local internships where they have worked with some of the summer programs here at UB or some of the other local college campuses as well. So a lot of it really is just driven by what interests you, what you think would benefit you in the long run professionally, and what will become, again, available for opportunities as the year develops. So they might be paid, right? That is something that could happen. But outside of just maybe a little bit of an additional paycheck, there are some benefits to participating in any kind of a graduate internship, whether summer or academic year. Again, gaining experience outside of your GA area, or if maybe you weren't able to successfully place with the GA, it gives you still the opportunity to work in a functional area on a college campus and use that experience to relate back to your coursework, the same way that maybe some of your cohort members may talk about their GA, you'd be able to talk about your internship placements. You can expand your professional network, especially if you're looking to different functional areas or outside of the college in general. If you were to go to another local college, that's additional professionals that you can use as resources, mentors, recommendation letters in the future, maybe job opportunities if they become available after graduation. And while the internships are not a required part of our program, there is an opportunity for you to gain credit as an elective through our supervised professional experience class, which is ELP 524. So while you're actively participating in an internship for a semester, you are able to enroll in this course, and then you could get class credit for participating in that experience. And then the last opportunity, but definitely not the least, is the ability to work on various committees or event volunteering. UB is a bustling city all in its own. We have 3 different campuses, a student body of, I think it's like, what, 40,000 now total. And there is always something going on, and there's always people looking for help to put on the things that enrich the student experience. So these opportunities would be things that are maybe short term or very specific task or event oriented. It may be helping with the planning committee, or it may be volunteering to help with logistics day of. Again, a great opportunity to network with maybe areas that you would have never really thought or couldn't offer GA-ships or internships. They may be able to take on volunteers for you to be able to have an experience within that functional area and meet professionals who work in that day to day. So I put a couple examples on the right side of different events that go on that are always looking for volunteers. So Ooze Fest is UB's mud volleyball tournament that happens every spring. Here at a Career is a massive UB sponsored job fair for undergraduates that is hosted every fall. Opening weekend is our welcome back celebrations. Various offices have different events that go on across all three campuses to welcome our students back in the fall semester. And kind of on the flip side of that, commencement weekends as well, an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of all of our students. Commencements happen across several days, across, again, all three campuses. And so there's always an opportunity to lend a hand and be able to get to celebrate with everyone those accomplishments. Some other opportunities, we have a lot of different types of community days or pride and service days where we go out into the community and volunteer for local organizations. And then our open house where we speak with prospective students who are interested in joining the UB community. Again, a great way to be a positive beacon for the UB experience and the UB programs, as well as meet people from across campus that you may not have had an opportunity to interface with otherwise. Those are usually purely volunteer, no payment, but a very good opportunity to, again, really meet people you have never had an opportunity to meet otherwise. All right. That other slide was in there by accident. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anything that I can clarify for anyone? Anything confusing? If you feel comfortable, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself, or if you'd rather put in the chat, that's fine as well.
We still have plenty of time, so feel free to put any questions that you might have, even if they're for Alyssa or for myself.
Yeah, I didn't realize how fast I talk. Sorry about that, everyone.
Your presentation was so thorough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can just share too, not just as a professional, but I'm actually an alumni of the UB HESA program. So I came for full circle. When I was in the program, I started in 2015. And I was a graduate assistant with the Intercultural and Diversity Center. So you may have noticed I picked them as an example a lot. That's because that's where my personal experience is from. But I also did, like I mentioned, a summer internship with a Kuhuai at Stanford University. I did a marketing internship with the Career Success Center at D'Youville College, which is a local college in the area, private institution. I was a part of the Ooze Fest community. I did a lot of the community service days. I also sat on a Women in STEM symposium conference planning committee. I volunteered at, I can't even tell you how many different events and opportunities. And all of which was really great experience. And like I mentioned, I made my way all the way back to where I started. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for this program, and I am very happy to see that there is so much interest in it. And again, would love to help shed a light on anything, or if there's, anything you're nervous about, anything that you need clarification on.
Looks like we did get one question. A student said, one, thank you for your brief and clear presentation. And two, what is the cohort size of the program, and is admission to the program tied to an applicant's ability to secure a GA?
Okay, great questions. I'll take them one at a time. So cohort size, right now we have, so our two cohorts, our second year cohort, I believe, is about 13 students. And our first year cohort, I think, is about 15 or 16 students. And then we do have a couple part-time students as well, that are full-time professionals at UB, but are taking classes to obtain the master's that they are hoping to use to advance their careers. So within our full-time students, it's about 14 people, but there's been cohorts as large as 20 or 24. But we try to stick around, I would say like 16 is sort of like that sweet spot where you get that nice class size and you're able to have meaningful discussions while still having diversity of thought in the room. Because you do take almost all of the same courses as everyone in your cohort. And so you'll get to know them very well and you'll spend a lot of time with them. So again, we try to keep it so that it's not too big, but still enough people that there's good diversity of thought and good discussions that take place. And then the second part was whether a GA ship can like make or break your application. No, totally separate. It is not required to have a GA ship in order to be enrolled in the program. However, I will say that a lot of students without the GA ship have a hard time sometimes with the financial aspect of it. So it can be a personally driving factor in the sense that you may not be able to move forward in the program without the tuition assistance or the stipend from a GA ship. However, from like the UB standpoint, it is not required to have a GA ship to be in our program. As I mentioned, we have a few students that are part-time, full-time professionals. We have a few students in the program now that don't have a GA ship that have done internships or are working in other capacities on campus. So there are other opportunities. However, it would be a totally personal decision whether or not for you it was necessary to have a GA ship, but it wouldn't automatically exclude you from admission. Excuse me. Or if you were admitted but then didn't secure a GA ship, your admissions wouldn't be revoked. You would still be able to join the program if you felt like it was still a financially sound decision for you.
And on the other side of that, we get the question a lot, if I'm admitted into the program, does that mean I'm guaranteed an assistantship? And the answer to that is no. And Alyssa can further elaborate, but we do get that question a lot in the admissions office.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, because it's not required, it's also not guaranteed. We oftentimes get far more applicants and admitted students than we have assistantships. Again, that's just because we only have a limited number year to year. It does change year to year. What positions are available through various funding sources across campus. And so there is no guarantee, unfortunately. So my best advice would be to apply for the ones that interest you, bring your best self to your interview, in a way that would hopefully have offices wanting you to work with them. But again, there's no requirement. So if you were unsuccessful in selecting a GA position, you would still have the opportunity to join us. As a student, and sometimes other positions or opportunities do become available as the year goes on. They're fewer and farther between, but it's not an impossibility.
Then we did get an admissions related question, so I will
Mhm.
answer this, and that is, do we have application fee waivers? So at this time, we don't have blanketed application fee waivers. A student must be in one of the participating programs, which right now is McNair, EOP, C-STEP, or under the financial aid score. So if you are a current undergrad student and you have that information, like maybe you're an EOP student or a McNair student, and you have documentation to prove that, you can submit that as part of your application. But otherwise, unfortunately, at this time, we do not have application fee waivers available. Good question so far, though. Do we have any other questions? Alyssa, this might be a good question for you as someone who went through this
Sure.
specific program. How would you describe a normal lecture?
What a typical class is like. I would assume
Yes.
that would be what we're asking. Yeah, great question. So almost all of our classes are seminar style. So they're based in, again, program the program faculty will teach the course, provide the information, but it really is based in the idea of discussion and the sharing of ideas, reflection about the readings, reflection about current events and how they relate back to what you're learning in the classroom. So our classes are structured where they are hosted once a week for a little under 3 hours. So typically it'd be like you'd have one class on Tuesdays from 4 to 7, another class on Wednesdays from 4 to 7. They are scheduled mostly in the evenings so that folks can participate in their GA ships or internships during the day when, typical business hours are, and then attend class afterwards. Um, so within that, 3-ish hour period, there'll likely be some discussion of maybe current events or things that are happening on the campus. Depending on the course, it may tie into things that, were discussed last week. There's a lot of reading and a lot of writing. For those of you that have not yet participated in graduate level coursework, it is a very academically rigorous program. All of our faculty are leading scholars in the field, and while everything that they teach is very approachable, they do hold our students to a very high standard. So, as someone who was able to get through undergrad by pretty much just showing up, that was not the case when I made it into my graduate work, because of the small seminar style, right? When there's only about 15 students in a class, not really an opportunity to hide from the faculty. And so showing up prepared with your readings done, having thoughtful conversation and well thought out reflections about the work that you're doing. There is also some opportunity for group projects depending on the course. Some faculty really enjoy group work. Some faculty lean more towards individual writing. And then throughout all of the program, your last class will be a capstone experience where you'll sort of reflect on everything and put together a portfolio of the work that you've done. Um, so, everything sort of builds on top of each other. The courses that you take in your first semester will build into what you learn in your second semester and so on. But I'm a huge nerd, but I loved the classes. I loved the discussion, and I really enjoyed the seminar style. It can be a little bit intimidating to start because, you have to show up prepared and you have to, know what you're talking about. But it's really awesome to learn from not only the faculty who, again, are just exemplary members of the higher education research field, but also from your fellow classmates who are working alongside you within the college campus. So
Thank you. So another student asked if there is a GPA requirement to be admitted into the program.
so the GPA requirement is a 3.0. That is our minimum admission standard, and that is in order to ensure, again, because going from undergraduate to graduate work is quite a leap. And so we want to make sure that students are well prepared for not only the amount of work that comes with a graduate degree program, but also the level of expertise and knowledge that's required of someone obtaining a master's degree. So we want to make sure we're setting our students up for success. We're not putting anyone, hanging anyone out to dry with work that just might be beyond their reach. And so 3.0 is the minimum threshold that we ask for.
Thank you. And we have one more question in the chat.
Mhm.
And this is actually a pretty good one because we get this question a lot too. Can your experiences in undergraduate degree be considered in your application to the program? To clarify, would you recommend that someone that does not have a bachelor's degree in education specifically or has little experience in education still apply to the program?
Um, yes, and so I would say
Mhm.
that my bachelor's degree is in sociology. So I was not an education major. I was not in the education field as far as my classwork went. However, when I was an undergrad, I was president of the student senate. I was the vice president of the programming board. I was implementing, programs across campus and bringing a concert series to our campus and, attending conferences and doing leadership courses. So experientially, when I was an undergrad, I was doing the work of a higher ed professional and working with higher ed professionals just as a student. And so I would say more than your degree, those undergraduate experiences, if you, were the president of your sorority, or you were the captain of your rugby team and you helped, bring a lot of, planning to events and organizing conferences. I would say that that passion for the student experience and working with students is 100% something that I would recommend you apply to this program if you have it. That being said, if you're looking for a program that is, um, if you're not interested in the collegiate student experience, I do recognize that, especially internationally, there might be different language around, secondary versus tertiary, post-secondary, what that means. Um, so working on a college campus with college students, especially in either advisement or programmatic capacities, that is what our program is designed to help encourage future professionals within that field. And so if you don't have any of that experience, or maybe you have like a little bit because you really got interested in your last year of your undergraduate, totally fine. It's not, again, going to exclude you from being admitted if you don't have an education undergraduate degree, or if you only have, one or two experiences in, various activities. But ultimately, I would say that that would, if you're not interested in that work of working with college students, this may not be the program for you because it is very immersive within that mindset and that passion area.
I would be inclined to agree. So it's kind of like a yes, but situation.
Yeah. Everyone can and should apply if they're interested. And I think everyone has the chance to do well in this program if they really give their all to the program, and again, to learning and
Mhm.
being open to the various experiences. Because one of the best things about working in higher education is there are so many different avenues and different ways you can
Yeah.
work with students. But at the end of the day, everyone that works here wants to work with students and better the student experience for everyone who attends UB, or whatever, college campus they end up working at. And so that definitely needs to be something that you have, is that intrinsic motivation to want to do the work, in order, I think, to be successful both in the program, but then also long term.
And if your degree is not in education, that's very normal for this
Yeah.
program. What I typically like to tell students if they're thinking about applying, when it comes to your personal statement, especially and the statements that go into your application, is to Alyssa's point, definitely describe why you're interested, what motivates you to do this program, what will make you a good fit for this program, so the faculty can gauge a
Mhm.
little bit about why you're interested in pursuing this.
Yeah. Maybe you had a really great advisor that motivated you to want to do that work for other people. Maybe you had a really crappy advisor who was never there and you want to make sure students have someone that they can
Mhm.
connect with, right? There's plenty of different ways that people have arrived to this program. We have math majors, we have English majors, we have people who have other master's degrees that have come back to do this work. But this isn't, run of the mill type of program, in the sense that you really only come to it if you know what you're looking for. So I'm, again, would be happy to talk with anyone about their experience. Again, we can't advise you directly on what to say. But if you have, again, questions about the types of things you could have experienced or might experience in the program, up on the screen right now, I have my email if you want to take it down. I think, Juvie, the slides will be made available to everyone, right?
Yes, I will make sure everyone gets a copy of this recording as well as the slides so you have something to look back on too as well. And I'm putting in the chat right now on both of our emails so you can copy and paste them uh, into any notes or anything that you have. Someone said, how could we combine the academic work with the GA work?
Yeah, great question. So in a very literal sense, one of the courses that you'll take in your first 3 semesters is called Introduction to Professional Practice. And so that is it's a 1 credit course that you take 3 times. So again, in your first 3 semesters, and that is your opportunity. It's actually taught not by a faculty member, but by a professional staff member from one of our partner offices across campus. So right now, I think the director of the Intercultural Diversity Center teaches one section, and I think our VP of Student Life, Associate Director of Student Life, I can't remember what his title is. There's so many, again, so many words in the UB lexicon. But he teaches the other cohort. And so it's your opportunity to have an hour a week where you can show up and discuss, again, those ways that what you're learning in class connects back to your assistantship. Um, More informally, a lot of the faculty will draw on your experiences to help fuel discussion in class. Excuse me. And several of the faculty um, will help facilitate opportunities for you to take what you're learning into the classroom. One of the other kind of direct overlaps, we have an assessment, program evaluation and assessment course that is one of your research methods options. Most of the students take it because it is very practical for student affairs professionals. And so you really get to learn how to analyze and evaluate programs, survey responses, outcomes in order to continuously evolve and enhance the programs that we offer to students. And a lot of times students will use programs that they work with within their GA-ships as their projects in order to kind of, again, further draw out that experience and bring it back into the classroom so that they can in turn enhance their GA-ship. And then on the flip side of it, a lot of the staff that supervise our GAs, ask about your classroom experience. And so they may ask like, hey, what are you learning about in your theory class? Is there any way that we can add something to this program to better serve our students? Or they may have you do some evaluation and assessment in order to see, what might be able to be a better fit for the demographic of students that they're trying to work with. So it is a very collaborative process. And so there are a lot of opportunities, both formally and informally, that your GA-ship or internship and your academic experience will overlap.
Great questions, everyone. Do
Mm-hmm.
we have any more questions?
We covered a lot today, so.
Yeah. I don't see any more. So I do want to just take the time to thank you, Alyssa, for going through this so thoroughly and providing some, not only of your personal student experience, but other experiences that some students might have had in different areas. Everyone will get a copy of the recording as well as a copy of Alyssa's slides. So you'll have her contact as well as our admissions contact tomorrow. And if any questions arise in the future, we're both here to help assist you with those questions. Alyssa, do you have anything else to add before we end today?
No, just I want to say thank you all so much. Again, I know I mean, it's late and dark for those of us in Buffalo area, and then I know it's even later for those folks that are overseas. So I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I hopefully look forward to maybe seeing some of your names come up as admitted students in the spring. And just to echo Duvy's sentiment, I'm happy to have conversations if you have more individualized questions. And if you need any assistance navigating the process, we would both be happy to help you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks.